Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Just Jocelyn. I'm so glad that you could join me here. We're going to have a fabulous two-part show. I have a fabulous guest, Lou Gargiulo. Did I say it correctly?
Correct.
Correct, Gargiulo. And he is going to talk to us about what is it about people that they want to run and be a candidate? Is there something that happened in their lives that made them want to help humanity, to reach out and do the right thing? And not just the same old, I want to do good in the world. We've heard that since the 1900s, and it just doesn't pass the muster with me anymore, personally, in my opinion. I'm tired of hearing, we're going to do it for the children. I've been hearing that since I was a child, and that was quite a while ago, and I'm not giving away my age. We have heard it for 2 generations, and nothing has been done. So don't listen to that when they say that. And when someone goes, oh, I really like them, I'd have a beer with them. If that's your measure of having a good candidate, you need to go home. You need to go get a big fat steak, a glass of wine, and think about what the bar is that you're expecting people to reach. Because right now, it's somewhere down in the swamp, down in the toilet, and we're done, people. We're done. Get off the couch, put down your McDonald's, because it's garbage food. Get rid of your Dunkin' Donuts, again, garbage. Pay attention to what's going on. You want to help the children? We need to stop having them sex trafficked. You want to help the children? We need to get the literacy rate in the United States, but right here in New Hampshire, out of the 30%. That's what you need to do. You need to be parents and make sure your children are contributing humans to this world at 4, 5, 6, 10, 16, not takers. Sorry, I went off on a rant. But this is where we are. I am having people on my shows that are going to tell you the way it is. There's no fancy icing on it. There's no cherry on the top. This is what it's about. This is what you need to know. This is what I have learned. We can't dismiss this anymore. There's lying, there's cheating, there's manipulation. There's all sorts of tomfoolery going on. You got all sorts of people blowing sunshine up your skirts and your pant legs, and you're liking it. Your vote must count. Your taxes must go to where they are supposed to, and we need to stop growing the government of our schools and our local towns. And we need to be listening to people that are putting everything on the line to represent you. This is a gentleman that understands the Constitution of New Hampshire. This is a gentleman that follows the Constitution of New Hampshire. This is a gentleman that has the people's, I don't want to say best interest, but he listens to you, listens to us, and takes that forward, because that is the job of a legislator. Not to bring a million bills and pat themselves on the back and bring forward what they think is best for us poor people eating McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts. So on that note, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Lou.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
I am thrilled to death. I had your 2 friends, Al and Michael Bean, on last week.
Yep.
We broke down an awful lot of stuff. We were going to do 2 different shows, and we ended up going 2 shows on the same subject. Ballot law and these commissions and how much it is to run for a candidate. But neither one of them have run. So I want to talk to you about, on a really honest basis, I know you've run before and you just finished running. Why? And what have you learned? And what do you think is wrong? What is going on that the people's vote isn't counting? Your voices and other people's voices are not really being heard.
Well, first, the reason why I ran is because I've lived a good life. I'm a product of the American dream, and I'm hopeful that my children and grandchildren can live that same dream. And over the past 4 or 5 years, it's become painfully apparent that the American dream is slipping away. It's slipping away in all aspects of our society. One only has to look at what was once a very solid red state in New Hampshire that's turned pretty much purple, if not blue. Mm-hmm. And how has that happened, and how have we allowed it to happen? Well, we've allowed it to happen because of a lack of people who are in office who are tone deaf to the needs of their constituents. They don't understand what's important. And you need to get people to run who understand that and who understand how complicated running is. It's not an easy task. I ran in District 24, State Senate District, which has become, over the past 5 or 6 years, first a purple district and now pretty much a solid blue district. I ran against a guy the first go around in 2020 who ran against Sununu in the governor's race in 2022, Tom Sherman.
Yep.
And he was a formidable candidate, and it required a great deal of money to be able to compete with him. Because unlike Republicans, the Democrats identify, pick, train, and develop who they're going to use in the future. And it was clear to me back in 2020 that Tom Sherman was on their hit parade of somebody who they were going to use, because suddenly huge amounts of money came pouring in from Act Blue. And they were pouring money in for a state Senate race. And when the race was finally concluded between Sherman and I, we both spent close to $500,000 apiece for a state Senate race.
$500,000 each.
Yeah, I raised a considerable amount of money, but I put in a substantial amount of money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So let me understand this. And I had explained to you before that I ask the dumb questions, and I've been told many times there's no dumb question. There's just dumb answers. But I beg to differ. I think questions need to be asked on all levels so everybody can understand. So you are telling me that $500,000 you spent in 2020.
Close to that.
Close to it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm rounding it
Yeah.
up, people. Don't hold me to it.
Yeah.
I'm rounding it up, not him. To do signs, to do mailings, to get yourself out there, to be able to travel all over New Hampshire.
No, this is a state Senate district. This is a state Senate district. And it's
That's
to do
even
things,
scarier.
Well, yeah, I mean, but when you're in a solid blue district and you're competing against a very well-known Democrat, you have to do the appropriate things. And that includes everything. In 2020, we did television, we did radio, we did endless numbers of mail pieces. We had thousands, literally, of signs. We didn't spend much money on staff. We had a consultant. But over the course of that period of time, to be able to touch people that had to be done, it cost a substantial amount of money. In 2020, I had a primary, so we spent money on a primary as well, which was expensive. But we were able to compete dollar for dollar with Tom Sherman.
Now, when you say you raise money, that comes from the people?
Correct.
And they make donations to
Correct.
you? Now, I know there's obviously in bigger elections, they have, WinRed and all these different groups. Is there such a thing here, or is
No.
it just the GOP?
The GOP pretty much doesn't give you anything.
Right. So
Okay.
I know a number of my friends were giving to the GOP, and I at some point said, stop doing that because they're not giving the money to people like you.
Correct.
They're picking and choosing where our money, our donations are going, and not listening to what when I check a box and say I want my money to go to Lou and it ends up going to John. That's not cool.
No, it isn't. And unfortunately, New Hampshire's a small state. They're not able to raise huge amounts of money either. So you have a catch-22, and the money goes to the top-tier candidates. And they also recognize that in certain districts, if you're going to try to compete in a district they don't think is winnable, or a district they gerrymandered, they don't give you anything. And I got some money from the New Hampshire State Senate PAC, but I mean, it was thousands, a few $1,000s. And you're not going to buy anything today.
And when you're talking approximately $500,000, that's peanuts.
That's peanuts. So you have to go out and you have to raise money as best as you can from people. And people have to believe in you. And you have to have a message that's clear and concise and good rationale for doing it. And I can sit here and tell you, in my opinion, we're one election right now away from a solid blue state, and that maybe could have been circumvented a few years ago by ensuring the right people were elected. That didn't happen. And right now we're facing a really difficult period of time, and I urge people to get out and recognize it. You know, Sununu, the governor, has been able to cobble together this coalition of people on the left and in the middle and on the side, and he's been able to win. It's a very tenuous coalition, and nobody else is going to be able to pull it off in that way. And you got to recognize that unless we have candidates who can win, the Democrats are going to force their agenda. Their
Correct.
agenda: state income tax, state sales tax, capital gains tax, curtailment of the Second Amendment, curtailment on magazine sizes for weapons. I mean, it goes the whole gamut. Anything and everything. They're stripping away right now parents' rights left and right. And we came out of 2022 in a dismal position. We control the New Hampshire House by
Couple.
1 or 2 votes.
Yeah.
That's not enough to be able to do anything.
No, because as we found out, some of the establishment take a walk when it's time to vote.
Correct. On difficult votes, they take a walk.
And that's disgusting. I'm sorry. What was your oath of office? What did you swear to uphold? Guess what? We, the people, are going to start looking at that because you work for us. And guess what, people? You have parental rights because guess who gave them to you? God. You had that child. You birthed that child. You have the rights, and it's time that you assert that and show up at these school meetings and show up at the state and say, stop messing with my rights.
You're absolutely correct. And I'm involved at the local level. I'm a selectman in Hampton Falls. I get called upon for things like school board issues. I attend them from time to time. From here, I'm going to another meeting with people regarding these very same issues. And there are a ton of issues. And when you consider, okay, the New Hampshire GOP says elections in March are not something, they're nonpartisan. And then you go to the Democrats' website and you see every local election that they've won because they put a full court press.
Correct.
So we're missing the boat.
Yep.
We don't recognize where it all starts. It doesn't start with people running for state senate or a governor. It starts with people running for school board, treasurer, planning board,
Dog
ZBA,
catcher,
dog catcher,
library trustee. And everybody
Library
laughs at, sorry, I don't mean
trustee.
to point, but everybody laughed at library trustee. Look
I
at
know.
the books that are in
Yeah.
our taxpayer-funded town libraries and school libraries. Pornographic books,
Correct.
period.
You're correct. And the Democrats have cornered the market. They have put people and got people elected, appointed in all of these positions that give them a solid farm team. And we have a state party who said in plain and clear terms, well, these are nonpartisan elections. We also have a state party who allowed a member of the state party team to endorse a Democrat for a selectman in his particular community. And nobody was outraged. Okay? Totally unconscionable. If you're going to serve the New Hampshire GOP, clearly you can't serve multiple masters. And if you're a Republican, you should be endorsing Republicans or stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, or get out.
Yeah,
You
or
know?
get out.
And I'm thinking, so in New Hampshire, you can be Democrat, Republican, or undeclared.
Correct.
I personally have a problem with undeclared. I think it should be independent.
Yeah.
And I'd venture to guess that on both sides, the independent party would grow exponentially in the state of New Hampshire. I think we have an extreme left wing and an extreme right wing. And we have a lot of people on the fringes and some people in the middle. But people will not become undeclared because that insinuates that you haven't a clue, a brain in your head, and you're just going to float to one side or the other. And it's not. You're independent. and you're a clear, free thinker, and in most cases, those are the constitutional people that are demanding that the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire be followed first and foremost, and they're outraged at what's going on both sides, and I think that needs to be addressed. What do you think?
Oh, I agree with you. And if you consider the numbers out there, it's somewhere around 32% Democrat, 32% Republican, and the rest is in the middle, is independent. And those are the people who set the tone, and those are the people who get people elected. And it's a matter of getting them engaged and getting them to recognize the importance of local races as well as state races and national races.
Correct.
We can't sit back any longer unless you want your rights stripped from you and unless you want not what New Hampshire has been for centuries. And that's on the brink of changing. And I sincerely mean it. Anybody who doesn't think we're one election away from total change in this state is living in a pipe dream. And I hope the people out there understand it and get engaged. There are plenty of ways to get engaged. May it be for running for office. May it be
supporting somebody running
candidates,
for office.
Working on teams. In my Senate campaign, we had somewhere around 35 people who came to meetings weekly, who were out there knocking on doors, who were doing all of the heavy lifting, and they were devastated when I lost. But at least they knew they did everything they could.
Correct.
And that's important, and we need to get more people like that engaged. Any place I speak about that, getting people involved. I also speak about getting more women involved, younger women, younger men who sit back and are not engaged. I go to school board meetings, okay? Who do I see in school board meetings? Now, who would you think you would see?
You'd think you'd see the parents, but I know you don't. You
don't.
see
60, 70, 80-year-olds who go to school board meetings, and you don't see, where's the young moms, the 30-year-old, well, she's too busy, doesn't think it's important.
Or follows the say-so of the head of the PTA, which 9 times out of 10 is very left-leaning, which is what killed us in our town. Here's the other thing I'm finding. Tell me if you're finding this as well. So we just had an election in March, and they had to push it to April because of the snow. So we had an election, and there was 123 million, give or take, school for enrollment that's dropping like a rock, as it is across the whole state and the United States, actually, but the whole state. A literacy rate that's just in the 30s. It's just in the tank. We've got SAUs that are growing exponentially. It looks like Joey B's, 46's administration there, sucking up the dollars. We've got school unions in there that are deciding everything for themselves and not what's best for the kids. And so the people come out, and they were upset enough to say, no, we're not paying for a $125 million school when there's plenty of space. Move this here, move that here. We had it all planned out, how we could update the schools, move 7th and 8th to a building that's not being used with dropping enrollment, moving the high school into one building, blah, blah, blah. No, they want kindergarten through 6th grade, but yet don't put the 5th graders with 7th graders. That's just really bad. So, flawed thinking, whatever. The people came out, they voted no. No, 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 no. And not only did they not say no, they said, HE double hockey sticks, no. We don't want that. But where was the problem? I think it was 1,100 people. There's 1,500 people voted no, 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 no. But 700 of them refused, neglected, purposefully chose not to vote for school board member. And by doing so, we had undervotes. And so the craziest, nuttiest, pornographic supporters, anything goes, furries in the classroom, supporting everything, got onto the school board, but yet the people said no to what they were deciding, and then in pure ignorance, didn't vote for a school board member, and so just like you said, just like that,
defies logic.
You have to vote for the school board members. You have to vote for selectmen. You have to vote for dog catcher. Just voting on the warrant articles is not enough.
No. And the amazing part of it is, for example, in a town like I'm in, the percentage of the town's budget ends up being somewhere around 27% of the total. When we have a deliberative session, we get a whole number of people coming in complaining about how much we're spending on garbage and sand and salt, okay? And we're talking about 27, 28%. You go to the school deliberative session, and there's maybe 20 young moms there, and whatever the school board, yeah, we want that. So they got them programmed. They use the information. They use the lists that they have to get people out. We don't do that.
Correct.
And this is because of our lack of organization, because we don't recognize where we need to begin. And when I ran for the state party chairman a few months back, I talked about that. I talked about you have to get people together. You have to start at the local level. You have to start bringing people in. You have to start talking to people. And Papa Sununu used to say, talk, 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 talk. Bring your message. Go out and talk to as many people about what you believe as you possibly can. That's the only way you're going to have any ability to influence the outcome. And we need to influence the outcome. It's either now or never.
We also need to deal directly with issues. Abortion, transgender, pornographic material, an illiteracy rate, but tiptoe around it. Tiptoe around it. Here's an idea. Let's use the word co-ed. I think a lot of people would be really upset about, let's have co-ed bathrooms. Let's have co-ed classes. Let's have co-ed this and co-ed that. You can't do that. What do you think's going on right now?
Correct.
We need to speak plainly, clearly, and on the subject matter. And if the PTA has gone left-leaning and the conservatives and patriots don't have anywhere to be, then start a second PTA.
Yeah, that'd be no question about it. I mean, we need, though, those things to happen. And people are not taking it seriously enough, recognizing where things are going. And, you mentioned abortion. Okay, as a candidate, we were told by people, by advisors, that the only thing that's important to talk about is the economy. Don't talk about abortion. It's the third rail. Well, New Hampshire has a law that you can have an abortion up to the 24 weeks.
6 months.
6 months, okay? Now, there's a lot of people, including myself, who don't believe that's appropriate. 24 weeks is way too long, etc. But it still exists. Do you think that anybody came out in the state party with anything to defend all of their candidates that we already have abortion? You want an abortion? Go out and get an abortion.
It's state. The federal government gave that decision back to the states where it should always have been.
Correct.
And admitted that the woman that they based that federal law on lied, and they paid her thousands of dollars. They kicked it back to the states where it belongs. And guess what? We have abortion in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Shut up.
But we didn't tell anybody.
Nope.
We didn't tell anybody.
Ran away.
We ran away from it. We hit our head in the sand, and we got hammered. We got hammered. Every place, anytime I got into any sort of mixed place where you had some Democrats or independents, the question was abortion. Where do you stand on abortion? My response was, I support the state law. 24 weeks is the state law. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Okay? But that wasn't enough. And it's amazing that people think that 24 weeks isn't sufficient for a woman to make a conscious decision on getting rid of a baby. It's beyond me. But that's the state law. I support the statute that exists at this point in time. Nobody wanted.
There's nothing you can do about it.
No.
So it's not even a question of support. There's nothing you can do about it. So it stands as it is until people unite and change it.
Yeah.
People.
Yep.
Not you.
That's correct.
People, because it's we the people that change the Constitution. You bring it to the floor, but we're the ones that vote on it, 2/3 and 2/3 of the legislature.
We need to get people to recognize what exists and how to change it. And the only way we do that is to get people solidly engaged, recognizing how critical the situation is. The situation not only here, but in the country. I mean, if we lose another national election, this country is truly going to hell in a handbag, and I don't think there's any stopping it in 2028. It'll be too far gone.
Yep.
And it's almost, I think it's pretty close to too far gone now.
Right now.
And we need to change that.
And that's
the
for
only way-
everybody,
yeah,
across
yeah.
party lines. This isn't Republican or Democrat. This is patriotic Americans.
Correct.
Which we have to remember what we are.
And I think people need to get behind a candidate at the national level, at the state level, and support that candidate with their time, talent, and treasure if we're going to change the paradigm.
Correct.
Because the paradigm right now is going so far to the left, there's no turning back. And I just think we need to get candidates who understand that, and we need to get the population in general behind recognizing that you don't have to be to the extreme. We can come together somewhere in the middle with a position that's good for everyone. And higher taxes is certainly not good for everyone.
Correct.
Okay. Unfettered abortion is not good for everyone. I mean, there are a whole host of things that I think reasonable people can get behind.
Right.
But you got to get them together to do that.
I love it. Well, on that note, thank you so much. And we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and have another discussion. So thank you for joining me, Just Jocelyn, and Lou Gargiulo. We will see you in the next half hour.